Europe could reportedly run out of jet fuel by June, according to the head of the IEA, International Energy Agency. He told the AP he expects European carriers to soon start cancelling flights if the strait remains closed. The fear is shared by Europe's airport. The trade group there warned of systemic shortages by the end of the month. The cost of what is there has soared by nearly 70% since the war started. Independent travel correspondent is Simon Calder. He joins me now. Simon, this is, it's at one level, it's obvious in the sense that the oil that was in the refineries has now is being used up and no more has been replaced it. So what are airlines going to do? We've already seen some moves.
Yes, we have. Now, the one thing I disagree with the head of the IEA about warning that fuel will run out is that I think that is frankly far too blanket a statement. What he needs to say is that there will start being material shortages of aviation fuel by then. And talking to the big airlines, I've talked to the biggest low-cost airline in Europe, which is Ryanair. They say we're absolutely fine until mid to late May. After that, if the Strait of Hormuz is still closed, then we will see some problems at some of our airports. EasyJet, the second biggest airline for budget travelers in Europe, is saying, yeah, we're absolutely fine all the way through until mid-May. We're not sure after that because, well, frankly, we don't know what is happening. But we are not going to see suddenly all of Europe's airports grounded. You will initially start seeing, I suspect, some shortages at particular airports, maybe in particular countries. But actually, the airlines can work around that. We've seen one or two airports in Italy running short of fuel, but actually, they're only the smaller airports that airlines will just, okay, well, that's fine. We'll arrive with enough fuel in our tanks to fly out again. What we are seeing already, Richard, is cancellations because of the high price of fuel. I'm booked on a flight tomorrow. That was cancelled. They said, sorry, demand is too soft, fuel price too high.
Right, but at what point, Simon, so we saw Lufthansa making some fleet announcements of that they're going to retire some older planes sooner. We know in the US and United's cut back by 5%. Would you expect proactive measures by, say, the IAG group, Lufthansa group, Air France-KLM, to start to prioritise the more profitable and more important routes in their spider's web?
Oh, well, I think they already are. And you can see that, for instance, with United, which is basically right at the start of the crisis. It said, OK, we are getting rid of about 5% of our schedule. And that will be the 5%, which when aviation fuel is relatively cheap, was marginally profitable. And when aviation fuel doubles in price, then they become very unprofitable. And so it's better to keep those aircraft on the ground. We're seeing that in various other parts of the world, and typically we'll see a reduction in flying and an increase in fuel surcharges. Of course, the two things go together.
But Simon, all the airlines buy their fuel from essentially the same people. I mean, the fuel is pumped into big tanks at the off-site to the airport and then sent underground. So you're going to end up with who gets what. The fuel suppliers are going to have to start, rationing or choosing who gets what.
And you could have some almighty auction with the price going even higher. I think what's much more likely to happen is that the airlines collectively will say, OK, we're going to reduce our schedules by, say, 20%. Or you might find national governments or the European Union imposing a cut like that. Now, that would be unprecedented, but these are strange times. If that were to happen, a lot of will be thinking, that's 1 in 5 flights. What about my vacation? What about my important family or business trip? But actually, because of the high frequencies that you're seeing on so many routes, in
Yeah.
and from Europe, you could actually thin out the schedules. And the main losers from this would actually be the people who are being hesitant about booking at the moment, because they might find that actually, for example, EasyJet has reduced its flights from London Gatwick to Nice from 6 to 5 or 4 a day, and there aren't any seats left, or the ones that there are costing $500 one way.
As I just, funny you should choose that one, because I've got to go down to Nice in a couple of months, and I discovered the BA non-stop from London to Nice was £1,400. But anyway, there we are. That's a story for another day. Good to see you, Simon. Thank you for joining us. Now,